Coping with the hard times in this race for survival takes a lot of policy troubleshooting to mitigate the economic crunch. But some others have a different plan altogether. They strongly believe the cash handout has little or no sustainability value considering the prevailing cost of living. Many analysts would rather prefer investment in critical infrastructure that will give a more enduring facelift to the standard of living of a larger size of vulnerable Nigerians.
In every crisis situation, either man-made or natural shocks, there are the first response. And in most cases, all countries over the world, we use cash transfer to cushion the effect and impact of that economic crisis, but also stimulate economic growth.
While President Bola Tinubu is calling for a review of the 8,000 naira palliative package to 12 million poor households. This directive comes after the National Economic Council questioned the integrity of the social register and the rationale behind dashing out stipends. The governor's bloc rose to a unanimous decision calling for a decentralized social register which should be implemented at state level.
There is a big question mark about the integrity of the so-called National Social Register. People have questions about how those names in the register were brought about. The integrity test is what is missing with that register. This is stress testing it, and we think that we need to go back to the drawing board. And if you are delivering any such national or federal program from Abuja, it needs to be delivered via the constituent governments.
Some of the governors have taken measures to cushion the effect on workers and pensioners by declaring palliative. As at this time of filing this report, while some governors still have their palliative plan as work in progress, Kwara, Ogun, Oyo, Imo, Taraba, and Edo states have announced palliative for workers and residents of their states. In Kwara State, Governor Abdul Razak has announced cash support of 10,000 naira for public servants with effect from July till a minimum wage is introduced, new hazard and skipping allowances, and 100% conmess for government consultants and medical doctors, occasional distribution of food to poor. For the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, he introduced the Edo Best at Home initiative to create more virtual classes, collaboration with electricity companies to improve power supply to homes and businesses to reduce the rising cost of energy, 40,000 naira minimum wage, and possibility of making an upward review, among other measures. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde will deploy mass transit buses, introduce cost control for bus fares for state residents, and set up civil servant salary review committee. In Ogun State, Governor Dapo Abiodun is announcing 10,000 naira cash palliative to all civil servants and pensioners with effect from July till next 3 months. Hazard allowance for all health and medical personnel as well as peculiarity allowance for civil servants. Food distribution to the vulnerable, fertilizers and other farm inputs to farmers at subsidized rates. Payment of March and April 2003 leave bonuses for public servants and immediate release of letters of promotion in respect of 2021 and 2022. In Imo State, to ease the pain of subsidy removal, Governor Hope Uzodinma has rolled out palliative measures, including raising the minimum wage of workers to 40,000 naira with consequential salary adjustment of other levels. While the Taraba State government is embarking on massive distribution of fertilizers to farmers. But all this still begs the question of leaving out the non-farmers in the states.
The way to go is also to ensure, right now we have, I think, $800 million from the World Bank. We have another 500 million that was also approved. Now, if you add all of that together, I was just doing the arithmetic. $800 million at 750. Okay, gives you like 600 billion. If you add 500, that's 1 trillion. So that 1.1 trillion can do a lot, all right? Especially in the area of, even if you take education, for example, Okay, the government can see how it can scale up the National Health Insurance Scheme. Okay, while you're also thinking of the short term, okay, it's also important, you mentioned infrastructure, to also think of medium to long term. When you reduce people's out-of-pocket expenses, it helps them to minimize the impact.
With these palliatives coming from the state governments, some bookmakers are of the opinion that the palliative package by most state governors are a knee-jerk approach to jumpstart the state economies. Other critics also pointed out that the palliative places too much emphasis on public servants, which in most cases are less than 20% of the state's population. The big question is, how sustainable are these palliatives in lifting the economy out of the poverty line? The key indicators point out the need for a clear thought-out plan that would bring out more vulnerable into the safety net in such trying economy. Gbenga Ashiru, Arise News.